take a look at, well, first let's start with OCLR. So OCLR is looking pretty good. You know, if you bought down here on the support, you know, on a perfect trade, obviously you'd be up almost 10%, which people are going to be taking in their profits. So if I'm willing to bet, I bet the Fibonacci retracement is lining up pretty good. Yeah. So on the 23.6 fib, it looks like it wants to do its reversal and meet back down here, roughly around the 860, 858 mark, somewhere around there. So, I mean, I'm gonna set, let's see, like somewhere right there. I would put an alert at anything below like 871, and then anything above, just above the 23.6 retracement. That way, if it does end up going down, we get an alert to bounce off of it, to get the stochastic rebound, and to get its momentum on the way up. It's still not a bad purchase given the stochastic here. What is worrying is the fact that the momentum is, you know, probably a loss right now. And actually, I haven't looked at the S&P. Yeah, so it's pretty much doing what I thought it would do. Because that gap up, you know, that's a bit worrisome. Oh God, come on. Anyway, whatever. Let's take a look at AMD. AMD acting as predicted. You know, with a sell-off that high, with that much volume, I wouldn't expect it to climb anytime soon. What is good though is that it's about to get near the retracement period. So what I'm wondering is, can we get it to go below the trend line here? Because this isn't so much a significant trend line, but what does make it significant is the fact that you have this upwards consolidation near the trend line. So that's always a good sign that the the supporting trend line is going to hold. So I'm just waiting for either today or Monday, and you know, we can pick it up here. You know, you can always wait for the confirmation candle, but just the way AMD works, I wouldn't be surprised if it holds up to it. Now, what sucks about AMD right now is the fact that the new GPU, the 500 series, some leaked comment or some leaked information came out about it that showed that it was basically a rebrand. It was still the architecture from the 400 series, but it's basically a rebrand, which isn't the best thing to hear, but we still have the Vega GPU, and that's not a rebrand that's coming out. So, you know, AMD still, I still consider it to be an uptrending stock, even though there's a huge sell-off here. But, you know, like I've been saying, you have a huge volume spike here, so it may just be people selling off here and here around this price area, so who knows. So, I'd be curious to see intraday on AMD, because if it can find some support, I wouldn't be surprised if it does. So, you know, we got the low of the 1279 on this day, and it's pretty far. Well, it did manage to touch the VWAP, and it seems to have found support down here. So if you were, man, I don't know, I'd have to wait and see the following couple days. I am curious about it. I do want to get alerted if it breaks the high, or if it breaks above this. This might be a pretty solid trend reversal if we can get this candle to have a huge volume, because this is relatively high volume for a down day. So who knows, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Okay, I already talked about OCLR. What else do I have on the list? Edit is looking prospectively good. Let's see. If you look at the fib, right on the 50% retracement, we had a pretty good bounce here. You could play it, but I would definitely consider selling it if it falls below the opening of this candle right here. because that would be a good sign that it would continue to go down to the 61 more towards the 20 EMA. So this could, this could pan out to be pretty good. And let's take a look at intraday, matter of fact. So yeah, it's finding some support. Yeah, so pretty low volume on those upticks, so I'm not too interested in buying that. Let's take a look at BlackBerry, BBRY. So BBRY, the closure of this candle had a little predictive buy, so negative 0.58. Matter of fact, I think I have this purchased on my paper trading. We'll have to see. But what I am curious about this one is, will it hold up above the 6.84? And if you remember, I said if you were to buy on this day, it would have to be a very small position because there's always the probability of it coming back down to this hard support trend. So what I mean by that is, oh god, come on. That this trend is pretty statistically significant. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 touches, giving it a statistical significance of above 40%, I think, if I remember correctly. Which means that this is going to have more value than the lateral support of this line right here. I don't know if you can see it. Let's make it a little thicker. So this line right here. So this line would make for a more this line would have more value than this line. So if you bought a position, it would be small. If you bought a position down here, it would be big. This is the one that you would make your move on. Especially with the relative volume being this high, this doji candle being relatively low volume compared to the past few days. It is kind of worrisome. So let's take a look at tech. Another one I have my eye on. Let's take a look at the Fibonacci retracement. That seems about right. So yeah, down here up day went all the way up to the 23.6, back down. So let's see where it heads. Come on. I'd be curious to see where it heads. What was it? Tech. On this day, yep, right here. So, like I say, all of my charts, if I make a line here, it's also going to have a line on the intraday one, so they're all congruent. We have an alert on AMD. Cool. Well, let's see what AMD did. Okay, so it's heading back up, which is good. So it may have found some support off of this line. I'm, although not convinced just yet because it's so early in the morning. The first 30 minutes to the first hour can be really a volatile time for the market. Edit seems like it's finding some pretty good support. You got some pretty high volume that's matching the overall downtrending days. So I am curious to see what happens if this sticks to a doji. It may consolidate here for a little while, given the volume that we're getting here. AMD. Let's look at AMD. So yeah, AMD is looking like it's heading back up. What I'd be curious about is it going to be able to cross above the VWAP? If it does, then we'll be in pretty good shape for it to continue moving, especially if it stays above the VWAP. It might start trading up here for that standard deviation. And, I wouldn't be surprised if it closes near the VWAP. That's typically what big stock names end up doing. I don't know if it did yesterday. I'd be curious to see if it did. Not at all. But typically they do end up doing that. Statistically, that is. So, anyway, AMD, I am kind of waiting. If you did end up buying down here, that's not a bad, margin, 2%. Let's see. What else did I need to talk about? Edit looks like it's coming back up again. Yeah, so we got that doji formation right here on edit. So this is looking pretty good. I'm just going to put an arrow here just to remind me. So, it can, like I said, it can go up. There's other ones on the list, but none really worth talking about. BKD I haven't really looked at in a while. Yeah, so you got BKD again on the Fibonacci retracement. Getting real close to the supporting trend line. I'm going to put a line right here. Or an alert. Anything below that. That'd be interesting to make a purchase around this support line. Anyway, I think that's all I'm going to say for now. Actually, Twitter. God, I forgot about Twitter. Twitter looks like it's about to retrace completely. So you have two consecutive dojis. This could be interesting. You got something like that, which is a pretty good sign that it's about to head back up. I'd be curious to see it head back up and break above the 23.6 for the 38.2. That way you can make about 7% return. This isn't a bad looking stock right now. Interesting, because it is making higher highs and higher lows. So, I mean, it is uptrending as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, that's about it for now.